Tony Hawkins has got a podcast. I hope he's better at this than he is washing the kit, because he was fucking useless.
Well, that was nearly a disaster that you'll never know about.
We did all our best work.
All our best work. Yeah.
We weren't recording.
And someone forgot to press record.
Someone?
That's the second time that's happened. It's a good job we check these things, Tony.
It is. It's a good job. So,
right,
19.
19.
So I won't bore you with a prime numbers thing now.
Oh, hang on. Oh, God.
The
Now the
moment's
heater's
gone.
come on. Oh, my God.
And the heater's on. How does that just switch itself
Oh,
on?
it's on a thermostat, isn't it?
Is it? That's very clever.
It is, unless you leave it on all week.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to press play and record once again.
So this is 19.
That's prime number.
It's thanks, John. Yep. What is it? Also a sum of
2 and 17.
Yeah, which are also
Prime numbers.
There you go. You see,
Tony, you've worn me down with your prime numbers. It's almost as if, Tony, we've had this conversation 5 minutes ago.
It was really weird. Yeah, that's.
I tell you what, I'm just checking it again. I'm all paranoid now.
Did we're all right.
We're good. So, like what we're saying, Tony.
Like we were saying, we watched some football on Saturday,
and good football as well. Yeah.
Some very, 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 very good, exciting, flowing, freedom. Football. It was
for the first half.
Fantastic to watch. So, I mean, we might as well go in early doors with this.
Go on.
A tweet which says, genuine question to the MK Dons fans.
Oh.
Do you always play like that? Out from the back, trying to play through the thirds. Had Rotherham chasing shadows for the first half. Looked great, to be fair, and you could have easily been 5-0 up at half-time.
I can answer that. No. What's the answer?
No. In fact, that's the first for some considerable time. Even when we beat Blackpool, it was nothing like that. The closest I can come, I can't equate anything.
I did say 5 minutes ago before I forgot to press play and record. I genuinely can't ever think of us ever playing like that ever. And I've been here since 2005, and I can't think of us ever playing like that ever.
I would equate it to the very good days of the promotion and general all round. Yeah, often without any end result, as we know. But we scored early. Alex Gilby's goal through the keeper's leg at the near post. Very cheeky.
I was impressed with it.
It was very nice indeed. The second goal. Now I like this about Mason. And they said it about Delhi on the telly the other day.
You see that?
Yeah.
Good, wasn't
it? Yeah. When players just happen to be in the right place at the right time. It's something you can't coach into people.
No.
You can watch videos and try and guess where the ball's going to go.
Improvisation, that's the key to football.
It's a natural instinct in knowing where that ball might come out from to you, and that's exactly what Mason did.
That's what I said, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago about Kieran. What he was doing at the time was waiting to see what happened with the ball, rather than thinking what might happen.
Yeah.
That's the difference between someone that's a naturally gifted footballer and someone that's Kieran Eager, to be quite honest. Well, sorry, I'm not going to dislike the guy.
Cags is more of a reactionary, on the ball type player, whereas Joe Mason looks like he's quite happy to. I'll just hang around here, see what happens. The ball comes out to him, he smashes it into the back of the net. Very nice. I mean, we were absolutely destroying them from the first minute.
I mean, their 2 donkeys they had up front for the first half were just getting really angry and really frustrated really quickly as well, which was a bit odd. But a
tweet from another Rotherham fan saying this is the worst they've played all season, and for a couple of years, I think he said. Again, that wasn't anything to do, I don't think, with them playing badly. That was just being that much better than them in the first half.
Well, we're astonishing. I mean, it was.
And
it was enjoyable, which is an odd thing to say about watching us recently. It really was. I really, really, really enjoyed it.
We are talking about a game where we were 2-0 up at half time and lost 3-2.
If you were to go on that mobile phone in your hand, and you were to Google a game of 2 halves,
that would be the example.
Do you know what it would send you to?
It would send you to
last
MK Dons versus Rotherham. Yeah, last Saturday. Go and watch that, and that is the archetypal
game
of two halves.
Two halves. I've never seen a collapse like that in a team.
No,
never.
Did I not say last week about the being 2-0 down score, or the 88th, 98th minute winner and all that sort of thing? We probably have been the victim of that before, but I don't remember any. So I'm sure someone would enlighten us if that has happened before. But in that, to have played that way in the first half and then coming away losing 3-2, the current mood that we're in, we're waxing lyrical about a first half performance in a game where we were turning up and threw it away and lost 3-2. But we're still excited about that performance because it shows that they've got it in them.
It shows that they've got it in them. But there must be a mental fragility somewhere within that team that when we go a goal, when the opposition score a goal, it's in our makeup to just think, oh, for fuck's sake.
It's in them now. It's in them now. They need to get rid of that.
Get rid of that. But where my problem is, and to be quite honest with you, why I've stayed off, like I've not been on the internet this week because I've had to sit in my hands, especially on Saturday night, because everyone was banging on about, oh, we're fucking brilliant. We've still lost.
Yeah,
we've lost, and we threw away 2-0 lead, and we were playing some football that was just sublime in the first half. To come out in the second half and play like that was really annoying. It made me really angry, especially when yet another penalty was given away. You know, and I did say to my son, I goes, like, if he scores this, I'm fucking off. Yeah. You know, because luckily he didn't. It didn't make any difference.
It didn't make any difference.
Because they still went on and won, you know. It was just...
Yeah, I mean there's no argument. It was a clear penalty.
Oh, yeah, it was a penalty.
What I don't understand is, he didn't get sent off, but there was another player in League One who got sent off for giving a penalty away, which...
there's no consistency.
I don't know why, but
even with this,
I thought double jeopardy came into play. No red card because you've conceded a penalty, but what do I know?
Even with this VAR shit that you got in the Premier, there's there's inconsistencies every week with that, and that's with 4 or 5 guys looking at it on a telly.
Yeah.
If you've got nothing, if you've got one League Division 3 clogger referee just looking at it really quickly, you're not going to get consistency for these blokes. No. Just how it is.
Yeah. So, shall we talk about the second half?
Well, I mean, we can talk about the first half where we were fantastic. Then we can talk about the second half where we were just utterly appalling again. Like we've been, I don't know what to say.
So I was.
Were you crying, Tony? I bet you were.
I wasn't.
Did you have a tear in your eye, Tony?
There was an air of inevitability about it.
There was a bit.
When the first goal went.
There really was.
And then we thought when the penalty was given, we thought that was that, but. You know, we're given that second chance. We didn't really threaten their goal. But when we did get the ball, we did break quickly. And we went straight for it. And I liked that because previously it would have been hoofed.
What I liked about the first half is...
What about playing it around at the back? Cause
well, that's exactly... You've taken the words right out of my mouth. What I was going to say is, in the first half, we had the confidence to knock it about between, I don't know, like Lee and...
It was fucking terrifying.
But we were good at it.
Yeah.
How come you can be so good at it in the first half, but 30 minutes later you're doing that? I can't.
Because we didn't have the ball.
No, I guess. I mean,
we didn't have the ball.
Yeah. Well, they did change it, didn't they? They changed it at half time.
Well, this is the biggest thing for me about Saturday was this. I was watching Rotherham's bench when their goals went in, and the body language was high fives, patting each other on the back, because whatever they did at half time, they got absolutely right, and they were congratulating. They weren't just celebrating goals; they were congratulating themselves on a job well done, and that's exactly what it was. Because they would have gone in at half time, and they would have been shell shocked. They've been looking at it and thinking, "We're nowhere near this game. Nowhere near this game." I think they made 2 subs at half time.
They did
straight off the bat.
They took those 2 pricks off they had up front.
I don't know. I didn't look at their formation. I'm not really interested in the other team, as you know. But they did whatever they did at half time. And I sent Richie a text afterwards.
What are you doing?
I said, whatever you did at half time, and then
can we do it?
Tell us what it was. That bloke and the Wall Street fella clapping his hands like, "Well done, mate," sort of thing. And all he texted back was 3 thumbs up. So I don't know if that was
cheers for that.
Yeah, but no, that was as much as, yes, we let in 3 goals and we threw away a 2-0 lead, that was as much about the tactical nous of their manager and Richie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
In making that, what were clearly drastic changes to completely change their way.
You can't argue with that. You know, I mean, I was like I said a minute ago, when he gave that penalty away, I just thought, you know what, I have just so had enough of this. Really, I was really pissed off. I really was, and I was probably more angry because of the way we played in the first half. I just thought, what are you doing? Why is this happening? I can't figure it out. I just
it is like it's a waking nightmare. It never seems to end. But that first half is. I've written here a sign of things to come.
God, yeah,
a sign of things to come. And if we could do that more often, their confidence will build. You know, you've gone in at half time, you're 2-0 up. It's a conversation they haven't had in a very, very long time in the changing room. Russell Martin's first time he'll have been in that position as well as a manager.
What do you say to them? Keep doing what you're doing, you know?
It's probably as difficult to have that team talk as it is when you're 2-0 down. In fact, it's a bit easier when you're 2-0 down because you know you've got nothing to lose, really.
No, it's easier to go in when you've played like that and just say, well done, lads, keep
going.
up.
Do the same again.
Yeah,
but then,
keep going.
What if it goes wrong, which it did? How do you deal with that?
If it goes wrong, like it obviously did, I mean, I'm not slagging Russell Martin off by any stretch of the imagination, but a more experienced manager, i.e. the guy on the opposition bench, might have been able to turn round and say, like, well, this is happening, do this, you go there, you drop back a bit, you 2 guys out there, this is the problem, I think, with someone that's not as experienced in football as he is. What I did say, like on the way out, about the defence, because it was really fucking another shocking
2 of them
display.
were set pieces, weren't they? And
another shocking display at the back. Like I said, do you know what would be good for us? If we had a world-class defender as a manager, and he could do something about that. Because you can say what you like about Scotland, and I have got a massive problem with the Scottish national team for obvious reasons. And I've gone from being mildly interested in them to hoping that every time they play they lose now. But he's a world class defender, that guy.
Yeah.
He should be better. And he should be able to see things and be able to react to that off the bench. He should be getting up and he should be running to the touchline and he should be shouting at, I don't know, whoever's at the back, Joe Walsh, you need to be 4 yards further across here or whatever.
Well, the way I saw it, the Rotherham set up at their corners wasn't anything I've really seen before. So a big bunch of players. And
a big bunch of players,
a big bunch of players, and you've got our defenders who will have all been given a man to mark at corners. They'll know in advance who they're going to be marking at corners, and then they're just going in 15 different directions. And, you know, I'm making excuses a little bit there, but at the end of the day, they got those tactics absolutely right for the second half. And the reason I say it's more difficult to have that conversation is because when you're 2-0 down at half time and you want to win the game, you've got to score 3 goals. So that pressure,
let's be honest,
that pressure is going to be relentless.
That's a big ask, that it really is.
It's going to be relentless. And once they get their claws in, like they did the first goal, and you could see heads going down. Joe Walsh for the second goal with his head in his hands.
Yeah,
someone else for and this whole head in the hands thing. And I go on about body language all the time, but for me, the head in the hands, standing alone, all players walking back to the halfway up. There's no communication. There's no. It's like that air of resignation. Yeah. Here we go again.
This is what it was.
Louis was trying to gee him up on the left hand side, but the rest of them were facing the other way, walking back to the halfway line. Like, here we go again.
It's a terrible mental fragility, that
it is.
Really is.
And this is. I've been
reading
a very good book about
sports psychology,
cognitive behavioural therapy.
Yeah, I've got it in the van.
Yeah, making those decisions when you know your mindset's going that way.
Yeah.
How to deal with it, how to get yourself out of it, and so on. So I'm not saying they should. I mean, we did have a brilliant behavioural psychologist.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, do we have a sports psychologist at Milton Keynes?
I have no idea, but I know when we did have one,
checking again. That's worrying me now.
The things he did with the players were just unreal. I mean, I've seen pre-season when players are tired.
Yeah, I don't.
When they're
for a
tired,
minute think...
they get angry, they get snappy. Yeah. He then chatted to all of them, one after the other, and honestly, it was like
I don't for a minute think that stuff's mumbo jumbo, because I have had to go to anger management classes in the past.
Really?
Yeah,
that
honestly,
shocks me.
No, I genuinely did. But you would think before you went. I mean, I've always equated to, I've always said, after you come out of that thing, it was as if you were swimming through treacle. There was just, it didn't last particularly long.
Yeah.
And the sort of coping mechanisms that this guy gave us, this morning, for example, I'm driving to work and there was some guy overtook me in a really dangerous place. The guy got one car in front of me.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, you're one car in front of me, mate. By the time we get to the next roundabout, if you're turning to the left and I'm going straight on, I'll be in front of you, which I was. That's the kind of thing. It's not mumbo jumbo, and there is a place for this, but it's as much Russell Martin's position to be able to mitigate against that feeling as it is to G them up in the first half.
The thing is,
he's got to be on the touchline, Tony, and he's got to be doing something to stop that.
Yeah.
That's his job.
Well, this is when I used to have some really good conversations with the chap who was with us before.
Robbo. Say his name, go on.
No, the behavioural psychologist.
Oh, right.
Simon Edwards was his name.
Eddie.
Yeah, Simon
I used
Edwards,
to call him. I used to call him.
And he was fascinated by what I described it to him as a hive mentality. I talk about this hierarchy and all that sort of thing. Or if one player makes a decision, then everybody follows.
Rest of them behind
there's no independent thought.
And I suppose the higher up the hierarchy it
exactly
goes,
the more you follow, the more senior the player, the bigger the decision, or the more important the decision. So he was absolutely fascinated by this hive mentality of players all thinking as one, because
the Borg off of Star Trek.
Exactly, yeah. They've been assimilated.
This is futile. That's what Rochdale was saying.
Yeah, exactly. So there is very much you're not just talking about one player. You're talking about an entire team who, at the flick of a switch or a goal, their mindset changes completely. So there are lots of things. I don't know if Russell Martin would be looking at things like that, or if he's ever has any knowledge of that. But like you say, there is definitely a place for it, not just in football, but in all aspects of life in general.
It's difficult to especially going back to driving. That's such a reactionary thing. I don't know about you, but how many times have you ever hung out the window shouting at someone when you've been driving?
Yesterday morning someone did the same to me.
You would never dream though, Tony, of shouting at someone if you were walking down the street and they walked in front of you.
This bloke, it was dual carriageway going to single carriageway.
And he was worse, Tony. You see him coming up now.
He wasn't going. I don't know if he was aware or not that the road narrowed. But he was actually going to my place of work at the same time. So I thought, he's going to overtake. He's going to go over, but he's not going to be. I'm going to have to brake.
Yep.
To let him pass,
and
because
that's annoying.
The way where it narrowed from my side in towards the outside. So
there was an argument to say he was in the right and you were in the wrong.
Oh no, because the white lines had already gone by this point. He could have dropped behind me, but no, he didn't. So he's sat in front of me again, one car in front of me, getting nowhere, sat in the queue. So for the entire time whilst he sat there before he turned left, I'm sat there with doing the old dickhead thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I don't do that.
Very, very dickhead. Like that for a good 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
And I could see him looking at him in his mirror, and I thought, what are you going to do? Because you were wrong, and there's nothing else you can do about it. But like you say, I could have just thought, he's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's what
he's a bad driver. Let's get on with it.
That's what I think,
And again, I wouldn't have got out of my car or done anything.
No, you
and I'm sure he didn't get out of his car or anything. But yeah, I did spend a good 30 seconds doing the
30
dickhead
seconds,
sign.
it's not wasted, Tony.
I was quite pleased with myself that I got that much into him. So
what was that?
Yeah, so
what can you say?
Robbie Nelson did say,
what, we were shot?
Less than 50% is the talent in your feet. It's what goes on in your head that determines
Did he say that?
how good you are. Yeah.
I can't believe he'd say that.
The only thing he actually said that was right.
Or intelligible.
I would absolutely 100% agree with him, because you know my thoughts on certain very talented footballers who never made it to the level that they should have done.
I tell you what is another problem, and this is a fact, it's not just my opinion. There's a massive problem with discipline at the minute in the club.
Oh, the Bailey Cargill. I didn't see it, but I did watch the replay, and that was just stupid. And
that there is you sitting in your car making the sign of a dickhead to someone. That's what that is.
That's not dissimilar to what George Williams did.
Push someone in the face.
It's
what are you
exactly
doing,
the same thing. There's no need for that.
No.
They say, heat at the moment, etc., etc. But again, that's where you're letting the entire team down. You're letting all the fans down. He now can't play for. I don't know if it'll be violent conduct, but could be 3 games.
It's like Alfredo Morelos that plays up front for Rangers last year got sent off an astonishing amount of times. I mean, like every single game he was getting sent off, and there was a conspiracy theory amongst Rangers supporters. It's because he plays for Rangers. No, it's because he was a prick. And people used to say, you take that out of his game, and I used to always think, you take that out of his game, what you've got is what you've got this season. Someone that's on like 20 plus goals already, and it's only the end of November. That's what you've got to think about. It's just it's discipline. Be disciplined about it.
And the thing is, and it really annoys me when people say if you take that out of his game, you lose part of the player. You don't. Do you remember when Delhi went to Spurs? They were playing Chelsea. He punched that bloke in the stomach.
I remember it.
Right?
Yeah. Little fly dick.
Yeah,
and
I
remember that. Yeah.
Afterwards, the analysts were saying.
The
analysts were saying, it's part of his game. You take that out of his game, he wouldn't be the same.
You take that out of his game. Part of his game. You've got a player that doesn't punch people in the stomach.
Never ever did anything like that when he played for us. That wasn't anything to do with his temperament.
No.
That was to do with at the time being fucked at Chelsea when they should have been winning the league above Leicester. Yeah. That's what that was all about.
That's about.
And particularly these days with things like that. I mean, probably as little as 5 years ago, doing that might have been a yellow card. It might have just been, oi, don't do that, sunshine. Yeah. Nowadays, with the George Williams one and what Bailey did, that's a straight red, and there can be no arguments.
I mean, that's 3 players we've had sent off. I mean, it's just no. And if you're in a shit state that you're in at the minute, the last thing you need is to be like, 2 or 3, like key players down. It's a load of crap, that. It really is. I'm sorry. That's
so we've got the solution, then, haven't we? We've basically come to the solution.
What's the solution?
Is A.
Go.
Play like we did in the first half all the time.
Yeah.
B.
Don't get sent off.
Don't get sent off. Don't get sent off for stupid things like that. And C. If you let a goal in, don't let your heads go down. No. Don't let it get to you. Think of the positives, the way that we played in the first half. Try and get back to that. Yes, Rotherham got it tactically absolutely spot on, but at the same time, they're a team who has got confidence, and you have to have that confidence to come. I mean, other teams could have come out and just tried to keep it to damage limitation.
And it's a thing I was thinking, if we played like that, the way we played that first half, if we played, for example, someone like Tranmere, do you think Tranmere would have come back the second half and beaten us?
I was just about to say, what if that was our promotion team and we were playing Rotherham and we were 2-0 up at half time? Knowing how good we were, would they have come out and tried to win the game? Would they have tactically at half time said, right lads, we're 2-0 down, but we can still win?
For us?
No, Rotherham.
Them? No.
Yeah. Or any other team, whether it be Tranmere or Rotherham.
No, they've come out there because
they've come out there because they think they can beat us.
Yeah, and
no other reason.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but
you were right.
If you were to go back 3 or 4 years and looking at the team that we had then, you're 2-0 down to MK Dons.
You're done.
Fucking hell, mate. If you can go home.
Yeah.
After the second half and only lose 2-0, you'll be well chuffed with yourself.
You'd be happy with that,
but
wouldn't you?
That's also a big factor, is that teams now believe and know
that they can beat us.
No
matter what happens, they'll roll us right over and they were right.
Yeah, and that is, again, part of the issue. And this is something else that should be driven into the players, is that teams are playing us thinking that they should win and should win comfortably.
Right.
Yeah,
that wasn't a comfortable game for them.
No, by no
it wasn't the second half, because, like I say, we just reverted to type. But how on earth we went from playing how we did in the first half to going back to the shite that we've been recently in the second half, that right there is something that needs to be addressed really quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how Russell Martin. I don't know.
Well, listen, it could be a good thing that it's happened in the same game. So quickly. We've played like that in the first half. We've thrown it away. We've lost 3-2.
I suppose the other good thing, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here, is that we've now got basically 2 weeks off to try and, because he's not really had any time with the team, has he? Really? I mean, Buddy Tisdale, got sacked at 5 o'clock on a Saturday night, and by 8 o'clock that night, Russell Martin was a new manager. Had no time, Tony, to impose his will on the team, has he? Really? I mean, I'm trying my best to take the positives out of what happened on Saturday, and I'm really struggling to do it. And like I said a minute ago, I've specifically not gone on the internet. I've read a lot of what's happened, which is there's been some funny things happened on the internet this week, I'll give you that. But I have quite literally sat in my hands, because I just thought, you can say what you like, you blokes, but at the end of the day, by 5 o'clock on Saturday, we'd lost yet another game. Irrespective of how good we were in the first half, we were shite in the second half, and we lost again. That's 4 games he's been in charge for, and 4 games we've lost.
Yeah, and we haven't won since.
I can't think.
League game. It was Blackpool, wasn't it?
Was that the last time we won? I mean, fuck me, we won in that bloody shitty cup thing, didn't we, against Fulham
under 21
children or whatever? But it is what it is.
Well, we have got a couple of emails.
Have we? I've not checked. Have we not despondent?
Our mates Paul Harris and Stairsy.
I seen old Stairsy on Saturday. He was one of the
I did. I had a chat with him after the game.
Did he say he seen me?
Eh?
Did he say he mentioned me?
Yeah.
Fucking better I've done.
Yeah, alright then, he did, yeah. Saturday's, this is Paul, Saturday's game was more of a car crash than Prince Andrew's interview. The omens were not good after hearing I Know Him So Well being sung by a choir in the arena, with lyrics such as perfect situations must go wrong, wasn't it good, and why am I falling apart? I thought they were being ironic. And with Cargill getting red carded, it was the icing on the Bovril. Stairsy, evening gents, further to our conversation on Saturday after the game, Tony.
Oh, right. So mentions you. He didn't mention me, Stairsy. That's me and you done, mate. Don't tap me in the shoulder again.
I do believe there is cause for optimism in the way we played.
Right there, Tony. Yep. One of them right there.
We passed and looked to create in a final third. We played the ball into space and we played with genuine width. We did. That's one thing I wanted to mention, but he's got it spot on there. And maybe was the best I've seen Regan Paul play since he arrived at the club. The obvious downside is the confidence factor. Still seemed a little bit fragile, which you were absolutely spot on, right? And I think that leads to unwise decisions when defending. We look panicky, which probably described the Miller's first goal against us. If Cargill gets rid of it instead of a poor header, I knew that was coming, by the way. I knew it was coming. As soon as it bounced, I thought there's not enough. There's not enough on that. There's not enough on that ball to get
back to Lee. I mean, mate, honestly.
As soon as it went over as soon as it went towards his head, I thought there's not enough.
There's been a big debate on some of the Facebook groups about, he should just have hoofed that out, and other guys are going, no, he got that ball. He should just have leathered it right up the other end. That's what he should have done. In my opinion.
As I said last week, play the way you're facing. Yeah. Which he did, but he made the wrong decision in the way he played it. But again, there is an old saying in football, when things aren't going your way, those are the things that happen and bad decisions are made. We can't let a few fractious voices from social media or well-meaning but somewhat irrational knee-jerk comments after the game on 3CR feel there isn't progress being made. I don't listen to the 3C afterwards for that reason.
I do, I love it.
Hopefully with this 2-week break they can knuckle down and put in the work to improve.
Is that me that's written that?
Hey?
Seeing all the things
it is exactly, isn't it? Hopefully with a 2-week break we can knuckle down and put in the work to improve. On a hark back to 2015 under Roy Will, we played very similar to the weekend's game. There were lots of comparisons with 2015.
Yeah. Well, we're better on the first half on Saturday than we were.
We just need that first point or 3 to get the motor running, because at the end of the day, confidence breeds success, success breeds confidence, which is absolutely right. I can't disagree with anything he said.
I'm still of the opinion, like I said last week, that we won't win until the new year. I can't see us getting a win until the new year. And even then, I don't know who we're playing in the new year, but I've just picked that as an arbitrary figure, I don't know what to say.
Pat's Prank Calls has subscribed to the YouTube channel.
Oh.
Pat's prank calls. Unless that says Pat Spran calls. I don't know.
No, that's Pat's prank calls.
Pat's prank calls. Say that a few times.
We'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we should do. I don't know.
We get a lot of shit on these things, but I end up just blocking them all the time,
Probably reposting millions of adverts.
Bloody idiots.
So after the game, it was, I don't know, it was a strange feeling because it was almost as if, like I said last week, those 2-0 up, losing 3-2. They don't happen to us.
No.
And now we're going through ticking all the boxes towards becoming Northampton or Stevenage.
We are.
We really are. We've done it to them many times. Now it's starting to happen to us. We said our season's over. What's the best we can hope for?
Staying up is the best we can hope for.
At this moment in time, I still don't think we'll go down. I don't think that would happen. But I said that
in light
when we did go down
of events that have happened in southwest London this week, I think there's another team that are going to go down, and I don't think it's another team with Dons in their title, and I don't think it's going to be us.
Oh, they like to call themselves a Don. Actually, I did see. I think it was the London Evening News or something like that.
They didn't ask you if you'd spare 11 million quid, did they, by any chance?
No, I don't usually get involved with the old Facebook, as you know, but I did have to comment on this piece about their
shortfall in their funding, Tony.
Shortfall. But it wasn't that. It was the fact that they said AFC Wimbledon were formed after Wimbledon moved to Milton Keynes.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, and I thought the BBC stopped saying that about 3 or 4 years ago, finally, and now you got this rag doing it. So
there was. What was that? It was on the BBC tonight. Funnily enough, I read it because they've picked it up, and they were banging on about it. And like at the end of it, it was the old phrase "return to their spiritual home." You think, how can they return to their spiritual home? I'm fucking on about that. I can fucking get on about that.
I'm not even.
It's absolute. I'll say one thing. In a week of utter shitness where football's concerned, that didn't have to cheer me up. That reading that really did.
Well, I actually
what can you say?
I do feel a little bit sorry for them because
Tony,
I'll tell you what.
Tony, get out.
For a fan-owned club,
right? Well, inverted commas around that. Tony.
For a fan-owned club, how did no one know about this?
Well, there you go.
How come everybody? For a fan-owned club, how did they suddenly find out that? Just a couple of quid short of what we need. How much? 11 million quid. All right. So how much was it going to cost? It was going to cost around about 30 or something, I think, wasn't it?
I don't know how much. I've not kept an eye on that.
No, I mean this is.
It says a lot that when, it was announced, 2 or 3 months ago that we were losing however much it was a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were all over the internet, all those blokes saying how we were financially in the shit and we were going to go bust. They've been spectacularly quiet this week about our financial situation, haven't they?
Considering their shortfall is 4 years worth of our losses.
In the space of a week.
Yeah. And this has just suddenly come to light.
I mean, I
thought with a fan-owned club, everybody knew what was going on and that was the idea of it. Clearly, it's not the case, club, and they are.
They're a fan-owned club.
They're kidding themselves, and these things are going to come back to haunt them. And again, it's this whole, fan-owned clubs are better. Yes, they are if they've got the right people, and financially you can sustain yourself. Although it's not a fan-owned club, the chap at Accrington Stanley's got it right. Forest Green, those clubs, living within your means, and if there are financial decisions to be made, I mean, to be £11 million wrong,
they're more interested, Tony, in not putting our name on a fucking scoreboard than they are for securing finance to build their fucking ground.
Well, yeah, and I have to say, our fans are getting just as bad for that sort of thing. I mean, the amount of people that were retweeting things about that, I just think, why bother? It's not. And we've sat here and discussed it, but for me, the reason I would discuss it is because how can you get that so spectacularly wrong?
So wrong?
And this is indicative.
Which I think is what they're saying. They're saying, why are you just telling us now? And you're giving us a meeting in 2 weeks' time, and we've got to make these decisions. You think so? Well, you know why? It's because you're all wankers. That's why.
They did a press release today, didn't they?
I've read it.
We thought we should say something, which they did, which was it's a fan-owned club, and we were having this meeting to decide on this, and this. These are all things that should have been decided 2 years ago when this was first mooted, when this was first built. But to be that far wrong, you're talking very levels of mismanagement.
I mean,
here.
things like when we had our loft done, we had a budget, and it's going to go over budget. You just do. But I'll be honest with you, Tony, it didn't go over budget by £10,000, which I'm just saying. I mean, how can you be 11 million quid off your?
I think the reason was because the contract hasn't been signed or hasn't been decided on or something, which is meaning that there's additional admin costs and extra money to be paid for this, that, and the other. Yeah, there always is, but.
There's not 11 million quid difference to it. That's a lot of money.
11 million pounds.
Yeah.
11 million pounds.
Again, go on.
That isn't an oversight.
You can't turn round.
That isn't a miscalculation. No. That is bad management.
You can't turn round and say to all these blokes, I know I've asked you for money and you've all put your hands in your pockets and thanks for that, but we're a wee bit short. Is there any chance you could give us another 11 million?
But but no, 11 million pounds on something that, again, I could be wrong, it's supposed to cost 30 million or something.
30 or what, 22? I don't know.
Something like that.
Even 22.
I don't know. It just straight away says, all sorts of things you think of. Bad management. Why hasn't there's a million questions, and they're so far up their own arses that they can't possibly question that there might be something wrong.
Like, they were 11 million quid short, and there are, I was reading, whenever when it first started coming out, it was Camden United that first brought it up.
Yeah.
So I was reading it, and there was one guy, and his biggest problem with the whole situation was that the builders I've contracted are called Buckingham, and that was his only problem. What can you expect if they're called Buckingham? Are you some? That's it. It still relates back to us.
I'm genuinely surprised that they would allow them to build their stadium when they were responsible for building us.
For us, what can you say?
Clearly, they're very good at what they do.
But really good.
Basically, Buckingham being a sponsor of ours,
it says a lot.
They're just paying for Buckingham sponsorship boards at our stadium. So
it says a lot.
All I'm saying, chaps, I'm saying is that once again, you're giving us money. Indirectly
equally
or directly.
As much, it says a lot about someone with Pete's business acumen. That I know we're in the shit on the pitch, but off the pitch, there's no worries. There's no worries there, is there, for us? There's no worries that
as a company, interim K, that the debt has been kept at a sustainable. Well, is debt sustainable? I suppose it is. But
you can
far more qualified people than I. But.
There's a lot of them down in southwest London, Tony. They're all financial experts.
Well, this is it, though. So they and it made me chuckle. Top class conferencing facilities,
banqueting facilities. Yeah, was one of them.
Isn't that? Sorry, doesn't that go against the ethos of what they were saying about?
The other funny thing I read,
it's not quite a retail park. I understand.
The other funny thing I read was there was one bloke on there saying that, is there any chance we could get a hotel built? And I just thought, mate, are you having a fucking
That's a slippery slope, mate. Hotel, then there's an Asda, then there's an IKEA,
shopping,
then there's a Primark. Oh, that's a slippery slope.
You know what it was, Tony? It was hubris by them, and it was eventually going to come crashing down the ears,
more and more clubs are doing this out of town. Oh, that's not an out of town thing, I know, but they're doing the out of town, or they're doing the incorporating a hotel or a retail environment. A little bit of trouble, haven't they, as well? Because in order to fund their ground, they're having to build a whole load of retail parks, and the people that own the Arndale Centre, they've kicked up a bit of a fuss about it because obviously that'll take business away from our already failing shopping centre. So what can you say? Yeah.
But it's the only way it can be done. You can't build a football stadium, especially not in bloody London. I mean, how much must the actual duct cost for them to build that, let alone everything else. Well, I mean, I've worked in London. It's a massive fucking nuisance working there. There's all sorts of hidden costs. There's parking, for example. There's getting the materials there. You can't say
why wouldn't QPR move, right?
Yeah,
they've got a shitty little stadium which holds 16,000 60,000 or something, is it? No, it's not a lot anyway. They've got this shitty little stadium with some of the worst views, if not the worst views I've ever encountered at a football match.
There's plenty of parking.
The smallest seats.
And the side streets.
I had to get a fucking bus. Oh no, that was Fulham. I had to get a bus to go and get my kit van at Fulham. But what if QPR? How much do you reckon that land
would go for?
How much do you reckon that's worth?
You could get.
It's got to be worth in excess of
11 million quid.
Funnily enough, we got 11 million quid more than we thought. We're all going to McDonald's. But no, that's not. For me, it's not. It's not because it's AFC. It's because it is such a huge amount of money
to be short.
To all of a sudden be come up and to say, yeah, we're 11 million quid short.
That's a lot of money. I mean, did they honestly?
Who's going to invest in that?
When they put out this bloody call for people, this like. Bloody crowdfunding thing. They couldn't have in their whole, surely they didn't think, they were going to get it all from their, 3,500 fans. I mean, how much does that work out at?
They didn't buy their parking spaces off Steve Dale.
Off that guy off a bloody berry.
No, but again, I don't want to see any club go under.
Except them.
Through mismanagement.
Except them.
Because that affects the fans.
Except them.
But in this case, it's the fans that own the club.
Yeah.
So they ultimately are responsible for this
fault.
Absolute clusterfuck of a balls up that is... I mean, it's beyond...
I think what they don't realise, Tony, is that they've been the media darlings since the move, and slowly over the last 4 or 5 years, you could see it in the press that slowly it's beginning to change. There's quite a lot of lower league teams that really don't like them.
Hated
but
within
they can't
non-league. Absolutely despised.
They won't accept it. They still think that what's it called? When Saturday comes, when Saturday comes loves us. Who fucking cares what when Saturday comes?
When Saturday comes isn't relevant anymore.
They're in the
anyway.
shit. They put a bloody tweet out the other day. They're asking for donations as well because they're in this shit.
Well, the thing is that they're again one of the. I mean, you see it on the high street, but particularly in the media, NME going digital,
Independent going and. London Evening Standard, get it for free outside a tube station.
Yeah.
This is the way it's gone, mate.
When Saturday comes, is they alienated themselves from quite a few different groups of fans, and they have become less and less relevant to the point where now they have no relevance whatsoever.
No one cares what they say.
None whatsoever. I've not seen anything quoted by them or attributed to them in at least 3 or 4 years.
I hope you're happy with your bloody dogma, because where's that got you?
The thing is this is the big issue.
I'm all cross now, Tony. I'm going to lighten up.
The big issue here is about moving on.
Big issue? Can you still get that?
Yeah, you can get that.
Good.
The big issue here is moving on and progress. And if you're going to have that mentality that, this is the way it's always been and this is how it should be, you're going to get left behind.
The biggest thing that they've been interested in going back to Wimbledon this year was when Russell Martin's family got attacked. That was the big thing for them. When Russell Martin's family got attacked and when Wally Downs got confronted by all our stupid fans that time, that's the two things that they've been interested in. If they had spent more time trying to find a spare 11 million quid down the back of the couch...
I'm not sure what you mean there, because I do know... I was reading a few tweets. I don't know how I found them, but... They were saying there was a few very, very venomous tweets about now people will see what your fans are really like. Now you'll see what your fans are capable of, and blah, 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 blah. Not one of them, not a single one of them, the prominent ones, came out and said a single word about the Russell Martins.
Not a thing,
And the little kid.
I mean, there was one twat blaming him. I mean,
well, that was the only time. That was the only time I was trying to do. It's his own fault because his kid was wearing an MK Dons shirt. His 5-year-old son was wearing an MK Dons shirt. Therefore, he deserved to be punched in the face. Not a single one of them, of the prominent ones who were shouting and screaming about our fans starting fights with Wally Downs and their players, but.
What I'm trying to say though with that kind of shit is
but the thing is, you can't hide that forever.
what I'm saying is, if they'd spent less time fucking about with scoreboards or Russell Martin or anything
this
like
is
that,
what I'm saying.
and spent
This is
more
what I'm saying.
time and
You got to move
like
on.
focused on their club's finances rather than what we were doing, they wouldn't be in the shit state they're in at the minute.
You've got to move on. And to be,
so
it's talking about.
And I know you all listen, so fuck you. Here,
really,
listen to this.
It's
fuck
really,
off.
and it is really hard to comprehend how fucking stupid you can be to not know.
If there'd been 2 or 3 million quid short.
Yeah, if it was right, well, we're just.
We could go to the bank. Something. I know times are tough, but we can.
Yeah, speculate to accumulate. We've got 9,000-seater stadium.
Yeah.
We'll probably get. I mean, they're getting 3,500 at the moment.
They don't feel where they are at the minute.
They don't feel where they are, but it is a shithole. No one wants to go there, especially the away end.
For Chelsea women, they want to go every week.
Time. But I can't just.
It's difficult to comprehend how someone
from the point of view of a business
point of view.
From a business point of view, it's getting like when they were building the Millennium Dome and building New Wembley, and the cost just kept going up and up and up and up. It happened eventually, but by the time the Millennium Dome came, it was an absolute joke. It was a figure of fun,
elephant,
wasn't it? It really was. New Wembley. It's New Wembley. It's a football stadium, and it costs far more than it should have done. But
it's built now, and people go.
And as I said, I don't want to see any football
Stadium
club go out of
MK.
business for fans. But when it's the fans' fault, how can you possibly hide that information for so fucking long? I can't.
I think
that's
comprehend. Why. I mean.
Is it the holier than thou? It will be all right, head in the sand.
Well, far be it from me to feel any sympathy for them, and I genuinely don't. But quite a lot of them, I've been reading it over the last couple of days, genuinely seem, A, quite taken aback that they've been misled, and B, are genuinely hurt that it's happening to them once again. Just so funny.
Hold on. How can we make this Winkleman's fault?
Well, I did say on the internet, no one's blamed Pete or me yet, but it's only going to be a matter of time before it'll be Pete's fault. It will end up being Pete's fault.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it will be because.
But that's what it is. We've spoken about them before.
Yeah,
we
considering we said we were never going to talk about.
Oh, you can't. But talk about that.
I think it's worthy. I mean, it's for me, from my point of view, it's as worthy of comment as Berry going out of business.
And what's happening
and Bolton.
It is,
it is because
it's another financial crisis in a lower league
it's
football
such
team.
a horrific fuck
It's just funny because it's them, basically.
But it's again, there's fuck ups and then there's £11 million.
There's living beyond your means, Tony, and that's what that is.
But is it though? I mean, they clearly had the things up, but maybe being a fan-owned club.
You can say what you like about them, right?
Isn't the way forward. If you're a fan-owned club, you should be saying, right, we need to decide who's going to look after this for us, and it needs to be someone who knows what they're doing.
I think
because the person to need another 11 million quid means that someone has fucked up royally and doesn't know what they're doing, and that's probably through arrogance or we can do this ourselves. Yeah. It doesn't work like that.
You can say what you like about them, but it was a remarkable rise, from where they started to getting, even back into the Football League, let alone, getting above us and then staying above us while we were relegated.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable thing. But there's a level that you're going to reach with that business model, and if you ask me, they're now above.
That is it. They've got back to where got back to where they should have been.
Yeah.
That's never going to change. They are going to be perennial.
I mean, I can remember saying to someone
promotion, maybe.
I can remember saying exactly to someone at work when they get promoted into the Football League. I can distinctly remember saying to someone, "This is them. This is them. This is going to kill them," and I was wrong. Yeah. I'm hoping this kills them.
Well, you were you were 2 leagues wrong, really.
Yeah, I was really.
I think League One was. There. I mean, you could say the same about Port Vale or Southend or any number of League One,
Wycombe,
League Two clubs.
They're fan-owned, aren't they, Wycombe? But they've accepted external. They're all right with someone.
That's what I'm saying. This is my point.
In. These blokes are foaming at the mouth because someone said, "Well, I'll put some money in, but we want a say in what happens. We'll take your money, but there's no way you're having a say. Well, you can't have it both ways, you blokes. I'm sorry."
Well, it still apparently will still be 75% owned. But knowing football and business as we do, you can see that being whittled away over time.
Of course you can.
And again, it comes down. The reason that they've had to do that, or would consider that, is because of an £11 million fuck up. That they've either kept. They've either 11 million. 11 million. Do you know how many zeros that is?
Oh my God! I hate to find
6.
Is it 2 ones and 6 zeros?
Well,
oh dear.
How do you?
How do you miscalculate that, Tony?
No, exactly. I can't comprehend.
I mean, concrete's expensive, but come on.
How can you either
Have you ever seen
not
that
notice
film?
Or keep that quiet for that
Have
long?
you ever seen that, what's it called, Independence Day?
Yeah.
Do you remember that time when they go to, was it Area 51?
Yeah.
And they go down under it and it's like a massive big complex and all that?
Yeah.
And someone turns around and says to the president, how have you funded this? And that bloke's dad says, well, you don't think that they pay like $11 million bloody dollars for a hammer or $22 million for a toilet seat? That's what it is. It's just financial mismanagement. They're fucked up. Good, I'm glad, you know. You ask yourself this. They put King's Meadow, didn't they? Kingston?
Yeah.
What was it? The K's or
Meadow,
Kingston Rovers or whatever it was called. They made them homeless. They just did. They're like ground sharing with some bloody dog and duck or something for Camberley now. They shut that bloody thing down. It was a speedway, doesn't it? They shut that down. They put them out of business. What have they got to say about it, these people?
They also killed
the
MK
dog
City.
racing track
They also killed MK
City. Yeah, good.
Killed MK City.
What comes around goes around.
Yeah.
Fuck the lot.
No one ever mentions that, did they? Killed Mount Cain City.
Yeah, you do a lot.
It really fucking annoys me because it never ever comes up. It's always, oh, well, yeah, you killed Milton Keynes City. No, I'm not even going into that.
Anyway, that's us done.
Yeah, so at least half an hour of that was about
them.
AFC. Yeah.
Remember that time we said we started?
We're never ever going to talk about. We're never going to nothing to talk about. But
well,
yeah, I think in the grander scheme of things, it's just the sheer stupidity of it all, and how that can happen.
I'm not a financial expert.
I'm not, but I do know.
Obviously,
I do know,
and obviously neither are they.
That if something's going to cost £30 million, and then someone says actually it's going to cost another 11 million.
Well.
That's just, by my calculations, tap 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 tap. That's roughly an additional 30%.
Oh my goodness!
Or 33%.
You're good at maths, Tony.
On top, that
you should have got in there and give them some advice. With your prime numbers.
We've probably got all those numbers wrong, but the one number we have got right is £11 million. Right, so we knock off. So we have a prediction for the pointless leasing.
Right, before we go any further, we have decided that we're having a week off next week.
We're having a week off
next week. There's not going to be a podcast next week. We need a break.
Only have commentary to talk about, and
to
be honest, no one wants to talk about it, even if we win. I don't think we'll be that bothered.
This has been a longer than I expected to be one. It is, let's have a look. It's 55 minutes, Tony.
So prediction for commentary next Tuesday, I'm going 2-0.
To us?
Yep.
I reckon we'll win that. I'm going 3-0 to us.
3-0. I like your style. Then it's Doncaster away, so we'll be chatting to you after that. I can't remember. I can't remember if I'm working or not. I think I might be working that Saturday, but I'll check. If I'm not, I will almost certainly go.
So we've got no game this coming Saturday, so that means there'll be no podcast next week.
Yeah. So try and amuse yourselves some other way.
You know what you should do? Go back and listen to some old ones. Go on.
Yeah. So let us.
Yeah, we won't see you next week.
We won't see you next week, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. Well, just over 2 weeks.
To having
it will be 2 weeks because you'll be listening to this in 2 days' time.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So if you can find 11 million quid, keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Send us any ideas. Any ideas for
and 11 million
for crowdfunding ideas, preferably from multi-millionaires.